Idea traders. What's going on, guys? Alpha Andrew here. Welcome back to Idea Traders at YouTube. We are talking strategies once again. This is the part 2 of the knockout strategy.
Knockout! Yes!
That's right, guys. Knockout strategy has been helping a lot of people. Don't forget to go to ideatraders.podia.com if you guys want to learn yourself. What I want to teach you guys a little bit more in this part 2 is how to calibrate, how to tweak out better wins out of this. Now, if you've been scoring 60 to 80%, well, you're in the right place, okay? Now we're going to help you get to that 90% threshold, okay? Last week or the week before, you guys saw me kicking ass on part 1, just murdering it 92%, but that's because I knew when to take good candle trades, and I'm going to show you guys that this week. So let's start with the basics for 60 seconds. Let's go in here. I'm going to show you how to tweak this out, set it up for the first time if you didn't watch part 1 yet. Pretty straightforward, okay, guys? The concept is you go here to your candles chart types, and we're going to set up candles, and we're going to use an M1 time frame. Leave it alone. Everything else should be like this, okay? Going to move to our indicator. We're going to set up as the Keltner Channel and the stochastic oscillator, okay? Keltner and oscillator, KO. You guys got it. So now your screen should look just like mine. And yours might be shrunk down just a little bit more like this one here. But if you hit this arrow, boom, the stochastic oscillator expands. Now you have a little bit more visibility. You can zoom in here as well if you guys like. The idea behind it is straightforward. That's set to that. We're going to make sure purchase time is set to M3. That's it. Leave it alone. Stochastic by default will be 1433. The Keltner channel should be at 2010 by default. No need to do anything else on pocket option. Boom. All right, guys. So we're going to start right from the bottom, just like last time. Let's talk about it really quick. When the line crosses the 20%, the K&D line crosses the 20% line. So it's 20% or lower. That's when people are overselling their stock, right? We're trying to take advantage of that. And vice versa. When we see the K&D going above the 80% line, overbought a lot, we see the K&D going above that 80% threshold, which is that green line, that's when we're going to take a trade going downwards. So if it's up here, you're going to go down, and if it's down here, you're going to go up. So what you do is when you see the, first thing you do is when you see the two lines cross this, you're going to start looking for that clear candle below the Keltner channel. These blue lines are considered the Keltner channel. You're going to look for that clear open candle here, and you're going to take the trade, okay? You want one that's not touching or that has a wick that potentially is crossing the Keltner channel. You want it nice and clear like this one here, this one here, this one here, and this one here, okay? So that's going downhill. So we want to make sure we take that one there, okay? Now, typically, and the vice versa, you see it over here. We see it crossing over here. We're looking for some candles, and we see some nice ones here. This one's tapping. I'm going to move this over just so you guys can see this. This one's knocking on heaven's door, right? Because we see that wick touching the top of that Keltner channel. But the next ones are free and clear of it, not touching it at all, okay? So I would not take this one here because it's tapping, but I would take the next one and do it downwards, okay? I would take a sell on that one, okay? Pretty straightforward, okay? So if you've gotten that far, great. Go ahead and pause the video right about here. Do some practices if you want. Get a couple practices in, a couple ups, couple downs. What you do is typically go through here, switch your currency pairs, right? Go through them, switch, go through them, switch, go through them, switch. And what you're looking is, again, you're starting from the bottom, waiting for this to cross right here, waiting for a nice clean candle. Boom, take an upwards trend, right? Go to the next one, right? Get a couple plays in, right? Get a practice here. Boom, right here, go up top, take it one going down here, boom, perfect. So that's how you do it, right? We got 3 there, just to show you really quick and really fast how you do it. It's nothing crazy, right? And we're gonna let the M3 timer just be the default, as always, guys, just let it tick down, okay? What I wanna cover next is the calibration. We're gonna tweak this out, okay? So I took some really quick trades here, but a lot of people have a lot of questions here, and I wanna talk about this by zooming out just a hair, okay? You can see everything a lot smaller now. So I'm going to switch over back to CAD-JPY. Let's start with the first pair here, okay? That's not an OTC. And what I want to do is identify good plays and what I call plateauing, okay? Plateauing is another word for consolidation, potentially, and then also for when a pattern is kind of what we call it ridge lining, okay? Just remember that word ridge lining. Pretty much all that means is staying above the edge and continuing to just be an edge and not doing its, sporadic bounce up and down. Okay. So this is what we're going to fix. This is what we're going to learn a little bit more to see these and know when to take these. Okay. So typically when the market's moving on a regular basis, you'll see clean ups and downs here in the stochastic, right? Ups and downs, and they're almost most of the time about the same, right? The same distance up and down, right? So there's a nice clean vibe here, a little bit of a pull here, right? And then it comes back up and down. So that's pretty good. But what we are seeing, and let's take an example here, is that this is plateauing. As you can see, it never really crosses the purchase line, like it's going back up to the high. Okay, we never see the K and D ever cross. We see it sitting there just chilling and continue coming back and down. So typically right around here you would have purchased and you probably would have lost because you would have bought here, but it really never would have bounced back up here, right? And now what we're seeing here is we can see all of these candles here, right? And that's the challenge, right? Is knowing how to identify this. This is one of the tweaks you're going to do, okay? Now, what I want to show you here is also, let's look at this one over here, right? Let's slide back a little bit. And that happens for a little bit over here, right? It comes up over here, right over here, sorry. Comes up over here, and we see it kind of like sitting here. So you would have taken your candle right about here, but this continued traveling upwards. So if you would have taken this candle downwards, you probably would have lost because these are 1 minute candles. And the third minute candle is here, right above that value, right? So you would have bought there and lost. And you can see it continue going up. This is called ridge lining. And here's the reversal of ridge lining. It's at the bottom, right? It's staying outside the Keltner channel for a longer duration of periods. That is called ridge lining. So typically what I'm looking for is looking for this right here. Looking for these to identify when they're happening. And if they're happening in the pattern beforehand, that means potentially there's a potential that it's going to happen in the patterns live. That means you're going to lose in that area. So I'm typically going to look to my left and go, are these ridge lines existing? Yes. And is there a lot of them? And if the answer is, if it's just one big drop and this happened for a little bit, that's okay. But if you see it potentially on the upper side too, right? We see it in the high area in the overbought side, and we're seeing that stay there, then yeah, that's another ridge line, right? And if you zoom out a little bit, maybe you see a lot more of it, right? Or maybe you don't. So that's what we got to identify is when you do see it, is there potential for this to happen again? So typically here, CAD, I'm going to say I'm going to bow out of this trade because it's not going to give me what I need, okay? And that's what we don't catch when you're doing it really fast, is that you don't catch that. So let's look at this one, right? We see a little ridge line here, right? This is a ridge line sitting above the Keltner channel. Doesn't really bounce back through it, right? Like we saw here earlier, right? And so we're not seeing here. This is ridge lining. It does come down here and eventually clears here for a few. And if you would have bought here and sold, yeah, you probably would have made some money on this one, but there's some potential of losing it, right? So if you would have caught that wind right at the end over here, 1, 2, 3, depending on where this bounced, you may have lost because that third candle right there, that wick, shows us that it traveled quite a bit. So you had a potential of losing that. And you can identify that there because you had this ridge line right before, premature, right? So if you would have bought this here, hoping for a downwards trend, and it didn't happen, we could have caught that with the ridge line. Let's look backwards, right? Now let's slide over to the left, right? Let's look backwards. Was there ridge lining happening before? The answer is yes. So we see it here on the top, but before it was down here on the bottom. We see it trying to cross through, but it never really crosses through. And we want nice, look at this, is a good example of a nice movement, right? We see it hit the bottom, nice candle buy over here. You would have went up, nice clear buy, and you would have cashed out after 3 minutes. Same thing at the top. Went up to the top, cleared. You don't really have a clear candle up here, so it wouldn't have been a purchase there. But here you can see the K&D going up and then goes down, right? So this is what we're looking for. This is what you're looking for. But this is a good example of it going up. We would really want 2 more candles here and 2 more candles down here. But it bounces just long enough to get through the overbought and oversold areas. And this is what we're looking for. We're looking for those nice bounces inside the Keltner channel. When it's sitting outside and ridge lining on the outside, that's not what we're looking for, okay? It's telling me that it doesn't have the momentum. It's not respecting the boundaries. And potentially, it's just doing its own thing right now. And there's some influence there. So just give it a little bit of time. You'll know it clears when you see this nice clear pattern of it going up and down, up and down, up and down for a few minutes. So what I'm going to show you is I'm going to draw for you guys. Let's go to TradingView really quick over here, right? Just go to trading view. Okay. And I'm going to open up a chart for you guys. Good. So now it should look just like what we saw earlier. So what we're looking for is for those nice, good bounce patterns. Okay. And I'm going to draw on here so you guys can see this. And this is where you're tweaking out, right? This is plateauing because it's staying above here for a while. It cleared, right? It came out here in this area right here, right? You had that candle, right? It's going up. Didn't get a candle till maybe, let's zoom in here. Maybe looking above here, nothing really clear for a candle. It doesn't really clear, and if you look really closely, it doesn't clear till here. Okay, so if you zoom in here, right? If you zoom in here, you can see that if you would have taken a sell on this one, a downwards trend on this one, finally, that one cleared, and you would have went down 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, and lost. Okay, because this is plateauing. You can see it's plateauing here for a while, and I drew the line here so you can see this is plateauing. It's staying above this 80% line for a little bit. Now we do see it bounce through. A lot of people always ask, do you take the trade once you see it bounce through? Now the answer is yes and no. Depending on your level of skill and able to read the charts, then yes, you can take that once you see it. Once you see these K and D cross and you see it cross the 80 line, go ahead and take the trade. There's potential you win there. But historically, like I'm trying to teach you here, is if you're seeing ridge lining here, you're probably going to see a ridge lining here. Okay, so this is a really good example of not to take a trade because USD CAD right now is not doing. If this was in a good groove, you would see more of stochastic looking like this, right? You would see this, right? Even if it bounced here, you would still see it kind of moving in the right direction, right? This is what we're looking for, but we're seeing it get stuck here and here. So this is part 2. I want you guys to play with this one this week, tweak it out, and if you're just going through pocket option, all I want you to do is just look for ridge lines, okay? Look to your left, okay? Here, looks good. This is looking pretty good. A little bit of a ridge here, not too much, right? We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 candles, and then it dips, okay? So typically a ridge, my rule of thumb is a ridge is roughly about 10 candles. So if it's 10 candles or less, you're good. Take the trade. Just be careful. Spot it. Make sure you're seeing when this is kind of curving back down and heading towards the green line again to go down, right? Same thing here, going up. And then wait for it to come down, right? We're going to wait for that to cross a little bit there. That's another tip. And then we're going to wait for it to aim downwards and then take the trade, okay, guys? That's what we're looking for, clear trades like that. But you're going to have to make sure you grab those candles while they're clear and free of the Keltner. Still stick with that trade, okay? All right, guys, I'm Alpha Andrew. And as always, you can follow me on Instagram at Alpha Andrew. And feel free to subscribe to me there as well. Follow me, check out our YouTube page, and follow us here. And remember, we're going to be doing this again next week. Another episode of great strategies to learn here on Idea Traders. We love this stuff. And if you guys are loving it, leave us a thumbs up as well. We'll continue giving you that feedback and provide us some comments. Let us know what else you want to learn. I'm out of here, guys. Enjoy it. Get those ridge lines. Identify it. Let's get you to 90% or better and win some big money. See you next week, guys.